welcome to another episode. This is so interesting. Basically, I'm just kind of living my life online now. So, what am I thinking about right now? I'm just doing a little bit of work. One of the things that I'm thinking is I want to learn the skill of copywriting. Reason being, it's something I do kind of find interesting, writing good copy, and I'm just kind of sitting here doing it for the company I work for now, and I realize it actually is kind of interesting. So, take a look here. Internet now, how to write good copywriting. How to run a copywriting business online. I don't know if this is honestly like the best book. I'll place a hold, I guess. Whatever. It might be a garbage book. I'm only going to look at the contents before I really even... Where is it? It's at Cashman Goodman, so it's too far. But what I'm also going to do is going to Google... Here, I'll do it and I'll show you after. I notice... I'll show you my little transition I went here. I went from the library, looking on the library, how to write good copy. Then I went to Google and I searched up how to learn to write good copy. And I found this one website, Copy Blogger. I went on it for about 10 seconds and I was just like, fuck this. I don't want to read any of this. So now my next move is basically I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to watch all these videos because personally I think I could learn better if I had a video in front of me and I was taking notes rather than reading it. Just because I think video's faster, because I can watch this on times 2 speed too, you know what I mean? Like, this is just going to be I'm going to consume way more. I think I can just hear words faster than I can read them. And that's just it, and I just want to do it. I don't know if it cements as good, that's one question, but I'm going to watch all these videos. I wish it turned purple after I watched it, because then I'd go back down and be like, yeah, I just watched all of these. Maybe and then after I watch all these, I'll present my notes and show you guys what I learned. I just spent it's now currently 11:07 p.m. So I spent my day. I didn't spend the whole day watching these. I actually had to do some of my other job. I didn't record that. Some other activities for my job. I didn't record it. But in terms of the copywriting videos I got to watch, you can see with the red bar underneath which ones I watched. And I watched the whole thing. I'm not sure why. It's only like halfway in some of these. So I watched maybe a good... down to here around, so about 10 I guess, 10 videos, and then there's a bunch more. I was going to watch them, but you know, I'm just kind of doing this talk now. I'll show you my notes now here on Evernote on the copywriting, and I didn't even finish it, I just kind of wanted to start talking. So here are my notes on copywriting. The first thing that I took note of, and I noticed across a lot of the different videos, was you need to kind of start reading the market and make a swipe file with a bunch of proven headlines. What that means is basically you have to get out there and start reading good headlines. So I know Russell Brunson has a story where he would actually, let's go to Google Docs, and that's where I'm going to have my swipe file. But Russell Brunson had a story where he would read old junk mail and use that junk mail as, you know what I mean, his kind of thing. Now, the junk mail isn't necessarily the best thing, but just getting your own kind of sense of what works and what doesn't, and going out there and reading it and writing it out. Dan Locke told a story. He has 37 of those 30, those 3-ring binders that hold a bunch of paper. He has 36 or 37 full binders that he can go through to learn specific copy. He wants to know something that converts a proven headline in a certain niche. He has it in his journal, which is something that we can take time to do. The next thing I learned is you got to have the spotlight on the customer. This is something that repeated itself a lot throughout a lot of the videos. And it was basically just, instead of talking about any sort of features or benefits of your product, talk about the transformation or what that person's actually getting when they buy your product. There's a saying that people don't buy drills, they buy holes in the wall. Well, let's go one step further. They don't just buy holes in the wall, they buy paintings on the room, paintings hung up on the wall, and they buy that sense of satisfaction they get when they have that painting up in the room, and when they're, they make their home inviting, and when that friend comes in and sees that painting, that's the feeling that they're really buying. Or when they come home and they come into a home that feels very homely and they get that sort of sense, that certain sense of feeling of that feng shui of their home, that's really what they're buying. They're not buying a hole in the wall. They're not buying a drill. So you got to really talk about what they're getting. Now, you don't have to go that. that deep. But one of the other notes that and I have it down here is let me find it. There's a internal and an external journey when you're selling them any sort of product. So we'll take one look at an example from a movie first, would be Star Wars. So the external journey, the external problem of the movie Star Wars is that Darth Vader is going to like blow up the world with the Death Star. Another example, the external problem in Lord of the Rings is that Hobbit, what does he do? He has to get like the key or something. Or he has to get the ring. What am I saying? That's the external problem. The internal problem in both of these movies is, Luke Skywalker becoming a man. He's a farm boy before he becomes a man, does something great with his life. The Hobbit, he's kind of like a weak hobbit, but he overcomes all the odds and goes all the way and becomes a fuller character, fuller human being, quote unquote. To apply that to a product, let's say you're selling some sort of weight loss, the external problem is losing the weight, but the internal problem or the internal journey that the people are going for is maybe how amazing it feels when their partner starts to notice them again. Another internal journey that you could go on with losing weight, maybe how strong you become from learning how you can actually take control of your body and your habits and your diet, something that you have control over and you have a better relationship with food. That could be another internal journey from your weight loss program. Some more notes. So there's a transformation. So when we're doing sales or copywriting, we want to talk about their transformation. What that means is you want to talk about how they're going to go from one state to another. And there's 5, I wrote 4 to mention, but there's 5 different questions you have to ask yourself that you write about their before state and their after state. And again, notice how this relates to the first one, the spotlight effect, where you're writing about the customer and not about yourself. So write about what will they feel, or what will the customer have before the transition versus after? Will they have, 30 pounds of weight? Before and after, they'll have like 30 pounds less. So you're going to go from 200 pounds of fat to 170 pounds of muscle or whatever. And do that for what will they have, then do how will they feel. How are you going to feel before? You feel kind of lethargic. You feel kind of, sad, or just you feel sad whenever like somebody looks at you in the wrong way, and where you get in that skinny high school dress that doesn't fit you anymore. You feel kind of like you're slipping. Versus how will you feel after you'll be able to slip back into that high school dress? That's the thing you have. How will you feel? You might feel great. You might feel as if you got your old body back, as if you're revitalized. Next dimension for the 5 dimensions of transformation. So we have what will they have before and after? What will they feel before and after? Then you have what is their average day before and after. The reason why you do what is their average day, it gives you a sort of narrative that you can use. Copywriting is about telling stories. People naturally listen to and hear or learn from stories better than other kind of different modes of conversation. So it's important to tell stories. When you ask the question, what is their average day before and after, you have a great way to create some sort of stories. Let's say that before you wake up and their average day, they'll wake up, no morning routine, and they'll go kind of eat whatever, and they won't feel revitalized after eating. They won't feel revitalized after sleeping. They might go to bed really late. They might spend their evenings sitting at home eating. What will their average day be after? You're excited to go to the gym. You go to the gym in the morning when you used to just sit on your phone and go on Reddit. Tell the story of their day before, tell the story of the day after. The next one is what will their status be before and after? Status. This is a huge lever for causing change in human beings. Status is a huge motivator for a lot of people. In the video I watched, he talked about Napoleon Bonaparte, I think his name is, Napoleon Bonaparte. He learned how important status was in the army. Think of all the crazy things people will do in the army just for status. Status is a huge motivator. So what will it be before versus after? How can you create some sort of perception that their status is actually increasing? One example, give a certification. If you're selling some sort of course or product that teaches stuff, give them a certification. Add some authority to their name. Think of other ways you can add status. Maybe you can give them some sort of moral superiority status. If you're selling some sort of environmental friendly product, you could sell them into the fact that, they're doing their part to help their environment, and hopefully you know your customer and that's important to them, and give them some sort of name for why that's, important. And the last kind of question for the dimensions is, what is the good versus evil in your customers before and after? It's really good to have this kind of good and evil. Human beings love these kind of stories. This is pretty much the story of any kind of movie. To give a couple examples, Russell Brunson, when he talks about ClickFunnels, he says the good and evil story with, the big banks that have all these crazy funding versus you who has, you have to have a ClickFunnel that works. You only have really one shot, that rich people don't want you. Robert Kiyosaki has the good versus evil where the rich want to keep like their secrets. They don't want the poor to know X, Y, and Z. What are some other kind of... Sorry, I thought I had a phone call. What are some other kind of good versus evil stories? And I just noticed I talked so fast and just like nonstop for the last 7 minutes. So maybe it's a good thing if I take it some time to slow down and really explain, what's going on here. The next one, I hope you got the idea for the good versus evil. Another one, I'll tell you this one actually, is the people say, the guy in the video who was selling this or teaching this product, his good versus evil strategy was their company was a marketing service, and they said that the world's not always fair because it's not always the best product that wins. Right? Think of it. If you have a better marketing and a better ability to communicate your product, even if it's not the best product, people will still buy your product over the other one. So their good versus evil was saying that the best product, the best product is not winning, and that they're able to change that to do it at a very cost-effective rate, something like that. So your good product can get out there and be communicated really, really good. Again, highlight the new world, not the features. Highlight how their life is going to change. What kind of benefit are they actually going to experience? You see I have written there. Make sure you talk about how the product will give them their benefit. For example, losing weight, gain money, have a better podcast, be able to play the piano. Give them that benefit. And when they're able to play the piano, they're able to woo their friends with that piano ability. Really sell that new life. Don't just sell the feature. The internal versus external journey, talked about all this. Effective copywriting boils down to answering all objections. That is the most key. Effective copywriting boils down to answering all objections. Really all you're doing is you're pretty much making an airtight case in their mind that buying your product is a good idea for them. Right? What else are you doing? You're literally just trying to convince somebody to buy your product with copywriting. Persuasive words. So answer all their objections. There can't be any sliver of a doubt that doing this kind of deal or doing whatever you're telling them to do is going to work. If they don't think it's going to work, why would they do it? They don't think it's going to work. So how you do that, each product can have its own kind of objections. One, for example, in the weight loss niche could be, I don't have the time, or I don't like going to a gym. So if you're selling a weight loss course, you might have it say, do it from home so you don't have to go to the gym, and it can be done in 20 minutes a day during your morning routine. So like everybody has time for that, and you're handling that objection. A very common objection, though, that should be applied to pretty much any product. I noticed this objection came up about 4 times in the 10 videos I watched. What if it doesn't work? What if whatever I'm getting doesn't work? And the way you solve that, they all recommend provide a risk reversal guarantee for money back. And you'll see Or 30 days, get your money back. If the product doesn't work, you send it back and we'll give you your money back, or whatever. This is especially good when you're doing information products where there is a $0 or a very low kind of fee you have to give out the product. Just because you're not going to have the same sort of losses on some sort of physical. And make sure you answer all the objections. And this is why it's so important to read reviews and read what our customers saying. The way you find out the objections is by asking. This is another very common thing I heard from watching all the videos. Ask your customers. Really figure out what they are thinking. Don't hypothesize about it. Figure out what it is. Figure out what it actually is. Here's a little tool that one guy gave in a video. The 100 benefits tool. Take the time, and this is a very practical thing you could do right now. Take the time to write out 100 different benefits from your product. Often it's more efficient to write out 100 benefits than create a product around it. The reason why this is so important is it can create such a good valued offer that it's going to be hard for people to refuse it. And so this does two things for This does two things for you. Number one, it gives you a kind of bank, a word bank. When I used to do sales, they called it your silver bullets that you can shoot, that you have to kind of sell the customer. And not only does it give you that huge bank of sales points, but you also have a better, you can refine how you communicate the benefits to the audience. You might find that you're really only selling 7 benefits, but you can position those 7 benefits in 100 or 8 different angles on each one, so then you create 60. He also said creating 100 benefits is darn near impossible, but it's a great exercise to try. Use reviews to do research. That's where you can see where literal customers are what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're talking about, how they talk. That's great place to gather information on them. Oftentimes when you're writing copy, you want to get their attention first. You want to stop them from continuing to scroll. One way to do that is to acknowledge the prospect specifically. Do it specific to the platform. Do it specific to the location. A lot of videos, basically what they're saying, the more demographics you can hit, the more demographics, so you're saying, oh my God, this guy's talking exactly to me. And the more, even psychographics, if they're thinking certain things, the more of that you could hit dang on and say, if you're, 37-year-old moms living in Tampa Bay who have 2 daughters who are both in soccer, if you get that specific and you can say that to them, or if you're the 25-year-old guy who wants to learn who wants to beat up the bully and you're selling martial art course, getting specific is really helpful. It just kind of stops them and gets them kind of understanding. Gary Vee, he says he takes the time after creating some pieces of content to take 5-10 minutes to say, hey Chicago, here's my piece of content. Hey Chicago, pay attention, or hey Louisiana, pay attention to this. Hey LA, I got a special tip for you. Specifying it to each platform. And you notice each kind of city. What he'll also do is he'll specify to the platform. He'll say, what up TikTok, what up Instagram, what's up YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Specifying it again, very helpful. Make your work skimmable when you're using, when you're writing copy in the form of words. We skim a lot. Work hard on producing a lot of headlines. A lot of people say the headlines, they'll give it a number of 8, is 80% of the battle. The headline, without a good headline, the copy in the middle doesn't matter. The headline's what they read first, and that's how they decide if they're going to read the next part. Take time to focus on the headline. The headline is, part of that critical path that is very, very important. So yeah, that's all I learned. And what I'm going to do now, let me see. I'm going to YouTube and watch a few videos on how to use Facebook ads to generate leads and see what kind of strategies does YouTube recommend, or the people on YouTube recommend. And the other thing too that I'm going to do, I'm going to go back through the copywriting people as well, is I'm going to hit up the creators. I'm going to hit up Jason Lee. I'm going to hit up Jason Wardrop and see if I can get them on the podcast where I can interview them about how they do their kind of Facebook leads. Just because, you know, it'll be a win-win if I can. So tune in tomorrow and I'll come back with kind of what I find. If you made it this far throughout the video, please leave a like, please subscribe, or just even leave a comment. I'd be surprised. If you made it this far through the video, leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought of the notes. I would love it if you could add more notes to it. We create kind of like a community here. But yeah, have a good day.